The human brain consists of billions of interconnected neurons that form a neural network. Each neuron processes a small task, and then it activates the next neurons so that the processing continues. The main property of neural networks is their ability to learn from the surrounding environment. That is how human beings function. The learning process is distributed throughout the network of neurons by increasing or decreasing synaptic connections so that the more relevant information gets stronger synaptic connections, while the less relevant information gets weaker. The artificial neural networks are built to mimic this process, and as you will learn later in this book, this is done by adjusting the weight of connections between neurons. The artificial intelligence neural network architecture schematically mimics a brain network. It consists of layers of neurons being directionally connected. Figure 1:1 shows a schematic image of the human neuron. Figure 1-1 schematic image of a human neuron. Biological and artificial neurons. A biological neuron, on a simplified level, consists of a cell body with a nucleus, axon, and synapses. Synapses receive impulses, which are processed by the cell body. The cell body sends a response over an axon to its synapses. Figure 1:2 single artificial neuron. Each input to a neuron is assigned a weight W. The weight assigned to a neuron indicates the impact this input makes in calculating the network output. If the weight assigned to neuron W1 is greater than the weight assigned to neuron W2, then the impact of input 1 on the network output is more significant than from input 2. We'll show how this works shortly. The body of a neuron is depicted as a circle divided into two parts by a vertical line. The left part is called network input to neuron, and it is the part where the neuron body performs the calculation. This part is typically marked on network diagrams as Z. For example, the value of Z for the neuron shown in figure 1:2 is calculated as a sum of each input to the neuron multiplied by the corresponding weight, W. That is the linear part of equation 1:1. Z equals W1 asterisk I1 plus W2 asterisk I2 plus W3 asterisk I3, 1:1. Activation functions. O calculate the output, O, from the same neuron, figure 1:2. We apply some special nonlinear function, called the activation function, to the linear part of calculation, Z, equation 1:2. O equals Z, 1:2. There are many activation functions that are used for the neural network. Their usage depends on the interval where they are well behaved, not saturated, on how fast the function changes when its argument changes, and simply on preference. Let's look at one of the most frequently used activation functions, called sigmoid. The function has the formula shown in equation 1:3. Z equals 1:3. Figure 1:3 shows the graph of the sigmoid activation function. Figure 1:3 graph of the sigmoid function as shown in figure 1:3. The sigmoid function, sometimes also called the logistic function, best behaves on the interval -1, 1. Outside of this interval, it quickly saturates, meaning that its value does not change when its argument changes. That is why, as you will learn later, the network's input data is typically normalized on the interval n-1, 1. Some activation functions are well behaved on the interval 0, 1, so the input data for such activation functions is correspondingly normalized on the interval 0, 1. Figure 1:4 shows the list of the most frequently used activation functions. It includes the function name, the plot, the equation, and the function's derivative. Figure 1:4 will be useful when calculating various parts within the network. Figure 1:4. Activation functions. Our preferred activation function is tan. It is also well behaved, like the sigmoid activation function, on the interval -1, 1, but its rate of change on this interval is faster than that of the sigmoid function. It also saturates slower. We use tan in almost all the examples of this book.